Okay, everything looks ready. I got everything turned off on that side, everything turned on that side, and I think we're ready to go. Okay, in that case, let's get started because we have a lot to do today. Hello, Shadowcat back, and we finally finished up all the arms and armor for the Tau. It's a very long list, but we did it. Granted, with the Tau, something that kind of made it a little bit easier is that there's a lot of overlap with the Tau in terms of their technology and what's already built into Starfinder. Starjammer, same thing. So there's a lot of overlap there, which we were able to take advantage of. And then, everything that we did need to do on our own, we kinda already had rules for. There were a few things like EMP weapons that we didn't have rules for, but I think it works. I think it works. Also, I think I might have made a mistake. I think that I might have made a mistake. And because the reason I say that I might have made a mistake is because I had assumed that vehicles were on a completely different level from infantry. So, like when you're dealing with the differences between starships and people, there's multipliers there. So in general, if a starship weapon were to actually hit a person, you would simply multiply the damage. So if a starship weapon did, say, 2d4 damage, which is very common for a starship weapon, then that weapon would do 2d4 times 10 damage. And I had assumed that vehicles, being vehicles, they would operate the same way, where there would be a multiplier between vehicles and people. But the more that I have read, the more that I've gotten familiar with the entire ultimate vehicles portion of this, the more I've realized that that is actually not the case. Vehicles and people are on the same level. They do the same damage, they use the same armor, they're both there. Which means that if a starship weapon were to hit a vehicle or a person, it would still only be about a times 10 multiplier, not times 100 like I thought it would be. Which is, a lot more survivable. Barely. I mean, if you get hit by a starship weapon, then you're probably still going to die. There's just nothing that's really going to save you from that. But, neither here nor there. The fact is, vehicles and people, same level. And so that actually kind of makes things a lot easier. I also found this really, really super cool website. And so we may as well bring up everything right now and get into it. And by the way, just as a forewarning, I am still getting over being sick from the holidays. It takes me a long time to get back to baseline after I get sick. It's the downside of not getting sick very often. So if I still sound a little bit rough, that's why. And if I have a cough, I've done everything that I can for it. And I apologize. Anyway though, we'll pull up our browser, we'll get our spreadsheet, and we're going to take a look at this. Now, from the Lexicanum, I found this, and it's amazing. I needed a list of Tau vehicles, and I found a Tau vehicle list. I mean, how much more can I ask for? So, in terms of vehicles, it is organized into light vehicles, grav tanks, battle suits, which apparently are organized into 3 types, and we'll get to those, and then flying vehicles. Then it gets into vehicle upgrades, and I don't know that we necessarily need to look into that right now. We're going to have to do a lot of the Tau war gear, and some of it is going to be vehicle-based, I assume. So all of those vehicle and battlesuit upgrades, I think, will be rolled over into the Tau war gear. I think. And I say I think because I don't actually know, and we're not going into it today. We will be lucky if we get through all the vehicles today. I don't think that we will. And what is this? Oh, my phone may be going off. Let's see. Severe weather alert. A snow squall warning until 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Duly noted. I'm not going outside. Yeah, also, for what it's worth, we're doing the stream. Okay, we are absolutely doing this stream. However, if I lose power or I lose internet, the stream is obviously over. I can only do so much. I don't have the multi-thousands or millions of dollars that other YouTubers have to have backup systems for my backup systems to keep the stream online in literally every single circumstance. So, if I lose power, if I lose internet, the stream is over. I'm sorry, I can't help it. I already owe one lecture because of that as well. So we're going to make the best of it we can while we still have the ability. I'm sure the quality is probably not great, but we're going to have to try and struggle through it all the same. So anyway, why don't we go through here? We're going to take a look at our list that we already made last week and see how it compares to the new list that we've got. So when it came to the list, I've got the pilot battle suit and stealth battle suit, both those being powered armor. I have the crisis battle suit, broadsides, hazards, ghost keel, the Riptide, Storm Surge, and Ta'unar. So that's what we did last time, but I had no idea what the other vehicles were going to be. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to copy this as best we can. So, for example, we're going to go for light vehicles. And these, because if we look at this thing, I mean, them's is Fire Warrior dudes. So we know this is a two-seater vehicle. And that's going to make this really easy to gauge what size it is. This is going to be a smaller vehicle. And I see Blizz is in the chat. Hello, Blizz. Good to have you here. So, light vehicles. We've got the Piranha Skimmer. Then, there is a Remora Drone Stealth Fighter. Now, it says drone. And if it is a drone, I don't want it. At least, I don't need it right now. So, this is a stealth fighter drone aircraft used by the Tau Empire. It's up a bit. There we go. These machines are first encountered by the Imperium. Don't care. Alright, so these are actually just drones. We don't need this then. Which brings us down to the Tetra. And the Tetra looks like just another little two-seater. Yep, that's all it is. A little two-seater skimming kind of vehicle. Don't know what it is necessarily, but we'll get into it. So there's a Tetra. After that, they don't have a picture of it. They've got a hover barge. So it's an aquatic vehicle produced in two configurations. They were supplied to Pro-Tau Wintertide Concordance Insurgency on Phaedra during their conflict with the Imperium of Man. Long open-topped vessels, hover barges are not true boats, instead held slightly above the surface by anti-gravitic suspensors. The barge's control console operated from either the fore either manually or via drone, are linked to essential systems placed below deck. On the single deck version, rows of bench seating can be installed sufficient for holding 5 individuals facing forward or back, letting the barge transport upwards of 60 people at one time. Cool. Alright, so a hover barge. We can absolutely make one of those. And then there's the cuttlefish, which also does not have any kind of picture. This just says, an aquatic vessel of the Tau Empire, though sometimes referred to by the passengers as boats. They were actually a form of skimmer held above the water's surface. And it says nothing about it. Just that it's a vehicle. Doesn't say what it is, really. Doesn't say what it looks like. Doesn't say what it does. Doesn't say what it holds. Unless I can find something else to go by, I don't think we can do the cuttlefish. That's fine. Then we get into grav tanks. And here's where we're going to get into the actual combat vehicles. So we've got Devilfish. And that's going to be the first of them. And the Devilfish is a tank. It floats. It's got engines to propel it forward. It's got a great big rotary cannon. That's probably one of the burst cannons, actually. And a few supporting guns on the side. It's our first actual tank. That looks like the hatch to get in, up here. And I'm going to assume that's a viewport right there for the driver to see out. How many people does it hold? Don't know. But I'm sure we'll find out. The Drone Harbinger, though. Don't know anything about that one. Okay, the Drone Harbinger was a variant of the Hammerhead, which was armed with only twin pulse carbines. While weakly armed, the Harbinger actually had the advantage in that its internal structure served as a factory in the production of gun drones. These cheaply produced weapons of war are capable of slowly overwhelming an enemy in their massed firepower. Since the source is the Dark Crusade, I think this is a video game exclusive. We could do it, though. We haven't done anything with drones yet, but it's an option. So we'll put it in here. Drone Harbinger. And we'll see if we can make that work. Next up, Hammerhead Gunship. Gotta have it. Also, did the Watercast get to name literally every single one of these? Next is a Sky Ray Gunship, which is different. So there's the Hammerhead, which is just a great big tank with a great big cannon on top. It's got burst guns on the front. It's got the great big cannon on top. Looks very similar to the other ones, though. You know, why reinvent the wheel? And then the Sky Ray Gunship. Not sure what that is mounted on the back. Maybe those are smart missiles of some kind. But it looks like a Hammerhead, just with the giant missile rack thing on the top. It's got the same burst guns on the front. So, Sky Ray. Gunship. After that, we have the Swordfish. Good movie, by the way. I remember seeing it a long, long time ago. And the Swordfish is absolutely not a Hammerhead. It's only got the one burst gun on the front, but two very, very large cannons. I guess that'd be the hatch up there. And then there's a little viewing port for the driver right there. So even on this ship, like, if that's the viewing port, okay, let's assume that the viewing port is positioned as such so that the driver can put their head, like, right there and look directly out. That means that there's a Tau Fire Warrior sitting right here in the nose section, which gives us an idea of scale. And all of these do seem to be scaled roughly the same, which means that this thing probably only holds maybe 3 to 5, okay? And 5 would be tight. 5 would be really tight. So that takes care of the grav tanks. Then we get into the battle suits, okay? And the battle suits we already kind of have done. Oh yeah, I forgot to scroll this up, but there's our tanks. Yeah, there's our light vehicles, there's our tanks. But the battle suits. Alright, first off, pilot battle suit. They don't even list it here. Probably because it's probably not a model. And that's fine. All of these things do seem to have models on them, except for the drone ship that we looked at. But here we go. We've got the stealth battle suits, and we got two types. We've got the XB-15 and the XB-22. The XB-15 looking more like an actual really stealthy suit, and the XB-22, which is about as stealthy as your local paladin. Still though, I had classified these as powered armor before. I think I'm going to stick to that right now, too. Oh, and there's also this guy. As stealthy as your local barbarian. Which is to say, he's not stealthy, okay? He's literally running around saying, "You can't see me, you can't see me, you can't see me." And the only reason that he gets away with it now is because once, just once, he actually covered his eyes and tried to walk through the front gates while the guards are standing right there saying, "You can't see me, you can't see me, you can't see me." And the guards were so terrified of dealing with a crazy person that they literally did not stop him. And after that, the barbarian was convinced that if he covers his eyes and says, "You can't see me," he's invisible. Because that's how barbarians do. And this is why you must check your barbarian regularly before this can happen. Check your barbarian early, thank me later. Okay, then we're going to get into what they're calling medium battle suits. The first one up, of course, Crisis. And when I looked at these, I said, Crisis, a medium walker. So we're right on track there. Next is the XB-802, the Crisis Iridium battlesuit. And while it is super cool being a Crisis Iridium battlesuit, it is still a Crisis battlesuit, and therefore we don't need to change anything. The XB-81 Crisis battlesuit is a Crisis battlesuit, no changes needed. The XB-84, same thing. The XB-85 is the Enforcer, which, if I remember right, what we looked at last time is the Enforcer was built off of the Crisis chassis. And so we don't need to do another one there. The Cold Star is a variant of the Enforcer, which is a variant of the Crisis. No change needed. They got the XV-89 Crisis battlesuit. And I mean, there it is in all of its glory with the, I'm guessing that's probably a pulse weapon and a burst weapon. And then we get to broadsides. This is the first new one that we've seen so far. But it's still under the mediums. So we got a broadside. And if we look over here, broadside, medium walker. However, After the broadside, we get into the hazard. Hazard close support armor. Hazard close, or that's the XV9. The XV901 hazard close support armor. The XV904 hazard close support armor, which just has like this giant thing on both arms. I don't even know what that is, but it's insane. And then the Ghost Keel Stealth Battlesuit. All of these are listed under medium battlesuit. And I have both of those listed as large. Now we get into the heavy battlesuits. And for these heavy battlesuits, we've got the Riptide, which we have here, and we called that a huge walker. The XV-107 Ravarna, which is just a modification of the Riptide. The Yavara, which is its own, I believe. And we've got that one... No, we don't have that one. Right, because it is a Riptide variant. Then we've got the Storm Surge. The one that I'm always worried is going to tip over and fall down and can't get back up. This one we're questioning just how big it is because they are just titanic. And the Tawanar Supremacy Armor, which... when we look at this thing, they did us the good grace of picturing this thing with a Fire Warrior. Okay? So, again, if we can assume that a Tau Fire Warrior is, even though they're a little bit shorter than people, why don't we just call them 2 meters? Okay? If we just call them 2 meters, actually we can call, I think that 3 feet is a little bit shorter than 2 meters. So we'll go with Imperial units. We'll call them 3 feet. Okay? How many Fire Warriors does it take to make 1 Supremacy? So if I just put my fingers on my screen, you can't see this, but I grab him and I say there's 1, 2, 3, 4 to the from the robot's foot to the robot's head, not counting the triple cannons on top. 4 times 3. Or no, wait. He'd be about 6 feet tall. So 4 times 6 would be about 24-ish feet tall. Which is not as big as I was expecting, really. 24-ish feet tall. When we look at these vehicles, it's not going to show me, is it? Medium walker. Okay, so the vehicle's 8 feet wide, 10 feet long, 10 feet tall. And every time you oversize something, you make it, or you double it. So a large medium walker would be anything up to 20 feet tall. Which means that anything over that we have to double, which means we go up to huge. And huge is going to be anything up to 40 feet tall. Which means that it would still fall into the huge category. So it's not actually as big as I thought it would be. They just kind of make a big deal about it. So they're both going to be huge. And I think we can just change this. So they will both just be huge. Now, last thing. flyers. Because that's literally what they've got labeled here. The flyers are going to be the Barracuda, the Manta, which, I mean, we've already seen the Manta. However, very interestingly is, these are actual models. Now, if these are actual models, that means that these would have been playable in the actual tabletop game, which means that they would not necessarily be set pieces. They would actually have stats and turns, and they would be able to do things. So we will absolutely need to have some stats for those. So, Barracuda, did I spell that right? I did spell that right. And Manta. Now, interestingly, the Manta, I believe, let's see, the Manta Missile Destroyer, also simply known as the Manta, is a super heavy vessel used by the Tau Empire for the transportation of whole hunter cadres. Now, how many is in a cadre? Is a standing combined arms military formation of the Tau Empire. Let's see. Organized into teams of warriors originating from the same sept and often bound by the Talicera. Let's see, but does it tell me how many people are in one? Composition, okay. The typical hunter cadre will have anywhere up to 6 fire warrior teams, along with a number of Pathfinder stealth suit and crisis battlesuit teams. A cadre will also include a handful of vehicles, from general units such as hammerhead gunships, to far more specialized units such as sky rays. A large stockpile of additional vehicles and equipment are kept on hand, so that the cadre can operate in a variety of roles. For example, mounting all fire warrior teams on Devilfish troop transports so that it can operate as a mechanized force. Auxiliary troops, including Kroot, Vespid, and Guvessa, are normally kept at a higher level, such as command and assigned to a cadre for specific roles. Who are these guys? We did Kroot and we did Vespid. Who are these guys, though? The Guvessa, literally human helpers, are human soldiers who serve as auxiliaries. Oh! Oh, thank God. Here I thought we were going to have to go back and do another race. But no, these guys are just humans. Cool. Okay. Okay. But hold on a second. Can I make this any bigger? Alright. So, what do we have here? Mobilized Hunter Cadre. Let's see. Standard Hunter Cadre. Dispersed Reduation Cadre. The Optimized Stealth Group. Okay, so hold on. Standard Hunter Cadre. Now remember, when we looked at this, it says the typical hunter cadre will have anywhere up to 6 fire warrior teams. So the standard hunter cadre will have 2 fire warrior teams, 3 XV8 crisis teams, 1 XV88 broadside team, a hammerhead gunship, a Skyray missile gunship, 2 Kroot carnivore squads, and a piranha team. How many is in a fire warrior team? This just... Okay, hold on. Fire warrior strike team. It does not tell me how many people are in this thing. which is unfortunate, because if I could get an idea of how many fire warriors are in a team, I could figure out how many people this ship holds. Because that's kind of what I'm curious about. How big is this ship? So it says it's on the borderline between an attack craft and a full-on starship. These small spacecraft are useful in a variety of roles. Now, what's really interesting about this is it is actually possible. It is possible to have two sets of statistics for one vehicle. That is to say, we have ultimate vehicles here, and we can go ahead and build this ship. But, and here's the thing, but it is possible to take one of these ships and turn it into a starship. And as a matter of fact, let's see. So if we come down here and we look at materials, this is an optional upgrade. We can say Starship Material. This converts the hit points into hull points using super advanced manufacturing techniques. Note this applies to the vehicle itself, and it is still considered a vehicle in all other respects without the normal protections and rules that starships have. Hit points are divided by 10 and then rounded up to the nearest whole number for a minimum of 1. This is useful for pre-drift Golden Age vehicles and reusable aerospace vehicles. Subpar materials with corners being cut, this modification reduces hit points and hardness by 50%. The point being that if we were to make, say, this manta ray, we could use Starship materials. That meaning that if the ship that we make, and I wonder if I can find an example of a flying ship. There should be, at least I thought there would be, a menu, a table of contents, something like that. There was one up here, I swear there was. And now I can't find it. Well, let's see. We've got 12 types of vehicles. So we got bikes. We'll be using those for a lot of the light vehicles. Cars. These are typically transports for 2 to 4 individuals. Flying planes, ultralights, helicopters, passenger jets. That's obviously not going to be the Manta. That'll be things like the missile ships. Submersibles. Trucks, let's see, carry cargo, walkers. Okay, so if we were going to look at these, we would probably want to look into submersibles, actually. Any vehicle designed to survive the depths of the ocean or a pressurized, or I suppose in this case, an unpressurized environment. Tracked any vehicle that uses tracked mode of suspension. It increases the mobility and functionality of these vehicles. That's fine. Or we look at passenger jets. Let's see. Mass transportation could be useful. Oversized. Additional passenger compartment. I want to find an example vehicle. Here we go. City mass transit. I was kind of hoping to find something that flies. That's a medium wheeled vehicle. Large wheeled vehicle. Here we go. A large passenger jumbo plane. So these are for intercontinental planes of air travel powered by 6 massive turbines. They provide minor comforts for the economy class and luxuries and space for the dedicated first class seats. It's a plane, as we typically know them. Passengers, 5 crew, 1 pilot, co-pilot, 2 stewards, and an engineer. 695 medium passengers. Okay? This is a very, very large plane. In fact, I'm not even sure if it's really done justice, because it says it's 600 feet long. Okay, 600 feet long, and let's just go ahead and assume that we can put people from tip to tip, which is not realistic, but 600 feet divided by 5, because every person is allowed to take up 1 square. So if we had to make a map of this thing, divided by 5 means that it could hold 120 people in 1 row. 695 divided by 120 means that it would have to be... Actually, that's not unreasonable. It would have the interior cabin of this thing would have to be 30 feet across. That's not unreasonable. Hold on. I'm gonna do a quick little Google search here. How wide is... what's the plane that flies overseas? Is it a 747? 757? I'm not sure. Let's go with the 747. A 747 fuselage. The fuselage length is roughly 70.66 meters. The diameter is roughly 6.5 meters. If every meter is roughly 3 feet, that means we're going to go ahead and multiply 6.5 by 3. And just in my head, 6 times 3 is going to be 18 feet. You add in all the halves, and it's going to get a little bit wider. So, no, that totally checks out. Okay. So, we've got ourselves a pretty typical jumbo jet here. Now, the HP on this thing is 85. And that means that if we were going to make this thing out of starship materials and make it space-worthy, we would start by dividing this by 10 and rounding up, meaning that this jumbo jet, instead of having 85 hit points, it would get 9 hull points. Now, here's where this gets really cool. If we come over to starships, somewhere we haven't actually gone in a long time, and we look at ships according to their hit points. Racing ships, they have 20 hull points. So we will have... Well, actually, that doesn't convert as easily as I thought it would. We might have to make it a very unique kind of starship. But either way, we could have a set of stats for operating in atmosphere and operating out of atmosphere. I mean, for what it's worth, let's see. If we look at these, we said that the jumbo jet was 600 feet long. That would actually put it in terms of a large starship. So, you know, something for us to really consider when we're doing this. And it does say that it straddles the line between attack craft and full starship, so it's not quite all the way there, but it's close. I believe that it can operate in space. It just may not be able to do so for very long. So we're going to try and make one of those. After that, we have the Orca dropship, which is exactly what it sounds like. It looks like with the 4 engines, and those do look directional, it can probably... It's a dropship. I don't know how many people it holds. We'll figure it out as we get there. So, Orca dropship. The Razor Shark Strike Fighter is just that. It's a fighter. It probably only holds a couple of people at most. As a matter of fact, if that's where the pilot is looking at from, it's probably got one person there and one person down here in the nose. So it's probably a 2-seater. So Razor Shark Strike Fighter. Then there is the Sunshark Bomber. Very similar, but different. Sunshark Bomber. And then we have the Tiger Shark, which is just a severely cool ship. I like it. However, that being said, if we judge it the same way we judged all the other ones, and we look at this as being where the pilot's probably sitting, this plane probably only holds maybe 4 or 5 people. Unless it is severely oversized, you can fit like 2 people there. But now we're talking like the ship is getting big. It's getting big. It's getting really big. Don't know anything about it though. We'll have to wait and see what it's like. Okay, so Tiger Shark. Alright, so that takes care of our vehicles. Our battle suits more or less stay the same. We've got light vehicles now with the Piranha Skimmer, Tetra, and Hover Barge, Grav Tanks, the Devilfish, Drone Harbinger, Hammerhead, Sky Ray, and Swordfish. And then we've got our flyers. So, where are we going to start? I suppose we could start with the light vehicles. So let's go with light vehicles. And the first thing we're going to do is going to be the Piranha Skimmer. And for this, we're going to need a template. Now, when we first started, we did one of these for the Chimera APC, and we're going to go ahead and borrow this right now. Nope, don't want to move that. We're going to go ahead and copy this. Come over to Tile Vehicles, and we will paste this. Now, things that we can delete. We can delete that. We can delete that. We can delete that. So the percentage, of course, is going to be the increase. The flat is going to be just the flat cost of everything. Speed, we can delete. Dimensions, we can delete. Size, we can delete. EAC, KAC, cover, HP, and hardness. The attacks. we will be able to go ahead and remove because we don't necessarily need those. Modifiers, we don't need those. Passenger, we don't need that. And I am going to go ahead, select all of these, and just go with default formatting. Okay. First things first, let's scroll back up here and look at the Piranha Skimmer. So the Piranha Skimmer is a lightweight craft, which is comparable both in size and battlefield roles to a Space Marine land speeder. It's unsighted, but I'm sure that it probably looks similar. So that is a Space Marine land speeder. So vehicle, that looks like the Marine right there. It's not a great view since we can't see the top of it. But it looks broad enough that it might have another Marine on the other side. It's hard to tell. Let's see. Well, I'm not going to spend... Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. Here's an actual model. There is another Marine on the other side, so this thing is a two-seater. Just like this thing appears to be. They were first introduced in the Second Sphere expansion. It was originally documented in the planet of Daleth. Don't care about the history. Technical information, though. The most common armament is a chin-mounted burst cannon and 2 detachable gun drones, similar to the Devilfish troop carrier. However, it is often armed with a pair of seeker missiles in order to provide fire support for marker light-equipped troops and vehicles, and will replace its burst cannon with a fusion blaster for anti-armor missions. Very interesting, but nothing we really need to worry about. Here we go. The Ordo Xenos classification. It's a light skimmer. It's a grav speeder. Crew is only 2. The weight is 4.5 tons. The length is 5.7 meters times 3, roughly. That's going to be about... let's go ahead and round up. So we'll call it about 17, 18 feet. And the width is actually about the same just because of the wings. Okay, don't really care about the variance too much, but this gives us a place to start. So when we look at our vehicles, let's start by looking at bikes. Military armed transporter. Okay, we can go ahead and close this thing. Come on. Bike. Okay, here we go. So a medium bike. A 2- or 3-wheeled bike that accommodates 2 medium passengers. Already we're off to a great start. These are seen very commonly as motorcycles or modified for hover bikes. This includes monocycles and trikes as well. They come in thousands of brands and shapes and are generally 5 feet wide, 10 feet long, 3 feet tall. Okay, already we have a bit of a contention. The height we didn't really get. At least I don't recall reading the height. There we go, height. 2.4 meters. 2.4 meters times 3 is going to be 2.5, 7.5 feet. Roughly, give or take. So already when we look at this this medium bike, I think we're already in large territory. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to say this is going to be a size large bike. JP is in the chat. Hello, JP. Good to see you here. And no, we did not say unicycle. No, we did not. We are not doing unicycles. This is going to be a grav bike. The dimensions of it are going to be, and I'm actually going to get a conversion here. How is it that I still need more screens? I never have enough screens. I need a larger workspace. Okay, here we go. From meters to feet. So, first things first, we're going to say length. .7. That's going to come down to, or become 18.7 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and round it up to say 19 feet. Come on. 19 feet by JP says, send in the battle clown, the honk of doom. This is why we need unicycles. Okay, we're not doing the Harlequins yet. Okay, the Harlequins will come later. You just need to you need to keep your clowns in your pants. We will get to them later. Okay, this thing has a width of 6.4. That's going to be 21 feet, like almost on the nose. It's 20.997 feet. I'm just going to go ahead and round up on that one. And the height is 2.4 meters. That is going to be 7.87 feet. We're going to round up and call it 8. Is this necessarily important? Maybe. I don't know, but I like accuracy. Okay, so it's a large bike with dimensions of 19 by 21 by 8. Now, next thing that we're going to need. Speed. We can literally copy and paste this stuff. So it's going to be that. And yes, we are using freedom units for this, so if you don't like it, get out of here. Okay, so speed increment is 25 feet. After 3 turns of acceleration, you can get up to the full speed of 75 feet per turn. Which, by the way, there are 10 turns in a minute. So that means that in 1 minute, this thing can go 750 squares. But each square is 5 feet, so we divide that by 5. This bike has a speed of 150 miles per hour, which is not unreasonable, I think. Not sure. Did I read that right? I think I read that right. It does say 35 miles per hour here. But if it can move 75 squares... whatever. I don't care. It's confusing. Vehicles are confusing. I'm still learning them. Alright, normal energy AC and kinetic AC is 10 and 13. The normal cover is none. But we can always, change that. Normal HP is going to be 7. The hardness of this thing is going to be 5. And modifiers. It has a +0 piloting. And it holds 2. Alright, so there's our basic statistics for this thing. Now, that being said, that's for a medium bike. Why is it coming down there? Because there's a hyphen up here, but there is not a hyphen down here. See, this is one of the reasons why this is the worst, the worst page in this entire wiki. Okay, oversized. We get to increase the size of the vehicle 1 step, which increases it from small to medium, medium to large, large to huge. This increases the passengers by 20%, so not changing anything. Or cargo. It increases cover by 1 step, none to partial, partial to full. So cover will now be partial. This increases the vehicle frame cost by 25%. So up here to percentage, it's going to be 25. And the piloting penalty by 2. So this is actually going to become actually, here's what I'm going to do. Modifiers. I'm going to move this over here. Like that. And I'm going to put piloting right there on its own. So this is going to be a -2. And at full speed, a -3. And then this, we will save. No, leave that alone. And then we can get rid of that. PC Unicorn's in the chat. Hello. And says Icon has the shiniest meat bicycle. No, this is not a meat bicycle. This is a Piranha Skimmer. The meat bicycle is something else. Now, can you get one? I don't know. The galaxy is very large, and I don't know what you guys are going to do when I cut you loose in it. If you want to go looking for a meat bicycle, that's on you. Okay, so piloting penalty is increased by 2. HP is increased by 15%. What is 15% of 7? So 7 times 1.15 is going to be 8.05. We're going to go ahead and round down. For that matter, 5 times 1.15 is 5.75. So each of these is going to go up by 1. So there we go. And speed is reduced by 15%. So 25 times 0.85 is going to come down to 21.25. $75. Well, hold on. It was literally just multiplied by 3. So full is just going to come out to 63. And 35 times 0.85 is, I'm just going to round up and call that 30 miles per hour. Now, is there anything else that we're allowed to have here? So, speed is reduced by 15%, double the size, height, width, and length, which we've already done. That's why we're using the oversized. It also allows for an additional modification. Let's see. Modification, not modifiers. Now, the way modifications work, let's see. Hardness modifier at full speed is in parentheses. Yes. Attack passengers. Actually, hold on. These are modifiers. Let's see. Step 2, modifications, select optimal modifications. These modifications apply to the entire vehicle rather than special functions. The vehicle may only mount as many optional modifications as it has size level. Any unused modification slots can alternately be used by add-ons. So, in terms of vehicle size, let's see, this section details the type of vehicle and the general size of the body. Is small the smallest we can go? Because if that's true, then as a large bike, we can only get, I think, 3 modifications. Okay, select add-on. Let's see. Vehicle weapons can be equipped with a vehicle option to further augment its effectiveness. These do not count against modifications or the add-on limits, but each weapon is limited to one option. Let's see. These are similar to ship ship options in functionality, including broad, line, point, quantum, and tractor. More can be added by GM's discretion. Okay. This is not necessarily as helpful as I thought it would be. I don't see anything smaller than small, though. I don't see any tiny vehicles. Even the bike is considered medium. So if we're going to go with that way, and we say small, medium, large, huge vehicles. That means that we cap out at 4 modifications, and our bike will have 3. I mean, even this large flying vehicle. Let's see, modifiers. It does have mecha transporter times 2. I don't know if that's a modifier or not. Like I said, this page is so very confusing. I say somebody should rewrite this as if I'm not the somebody who would be doing the rewriting. Okay, well, then let's just go by the assumption that we can have a total of 3 modifications on this thing. First things first, it needs to be a hover bike. And the first thing we got right here is hover. This modification turns any standard transporter, wheeled, tracked, flying, or submersible to hover. This does not change the base movement speed, just changes the movement type and adds ignoring difficult terrain to its abilities. It adds 140% of its base cost. The maximum height of hover is 5 times the vehicle height unless the flight system modification is also purchased. Okay, so we're going to get hover. And that will add 140? Yes, 140% to its base cost. We already have 25, so that's going to put us up to 165%. So let's go back to the Piranha Skimmer. What else do we need? So it's a vehicle type, it's a grav speeder. We got it. The main armament is a burst cannon in the chin turret. So we need a burst cannon. That means that we are going to need to have a weapon mount. Now the burst cannon, how big was it? Let's go back and look at the arsenal. Burst cannon. I made a small weapon. So all we need then is a small mount. Let's see. I have 49 instances of the word mount. That was the wrong weapon to search for. Here we go. Vehicle weapon. Small. This mounts a small weapon on the vehicle. It deals 1d4 per purchase of the vehicle weapon. It may be purchased times up to the size of the vehicle. It must be determined if this weapon does energy or kinetic damage. The weapons hold enough charge or shots for the purchase times the size of the vehicle. Okay, what does that mean though? It holds enough charge or shots for the purchase times the size of the vehicle. So it only gets like, so if we buy one of them, times the size of the vehicle, which is small, medium, large, that means we get 3 shots with it? Is that what it means? Because I have no idea how to interpret that. 3 shots seems a little small. But I guess, I mean, unless somebody can give me another interpretation of how we're supposed to interpret that. But let's go ahead and add this thing. So it's already got hover. It's going to get a weapon mount. Small. And we still have room for another. Now, it does say over here that as a secondary, it has 2 gun drones. Now, that's cool, but we never made gun drones. So we may have to go back and make those. For now, however, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to leave things as they are. Because we don't have that. What we can do is we can say this is going to be a burst cannon. JP says, can we get an upgraded joust option? Here's the fun part. You don't need to. If you want to joust with it, grab a stick and go play a game of chicken. Okay? Let me know how that works out for you. Because it ain't going to work out well. I promise. Don't bring a lance to a gunfight. I'm telling you now. Don't bring a lance to a gunfight. Or in this case, a cannon fight. Now, is there anything else that I have to add on here when it comes to statistics for the weapon? So, example, attack collision, attack snowplow? I'm looking at an industrial snowcat. So, attack collision, yeah, don't care. Military carrier, where's like a tank? Show me a tank. Large tracked vehicles. So an anti-starship mobile platform. So attack, wheel spike, dig? Man, why can't I just find something with a cannon? Okay, well, it says that these things are only really just giving damage outputs. Attack, collision. You know what? What if I just look for attacks? Attack, collision, wheel spike, dig. Attack, collision. Heavy drill, engineering arm. Wow, they literally made all of these vehicles here as examples, okay? These are examples for you to work from, and they have left some serious things out. So maybe it works like, maybe it works like with starships and you use your piloting modifier to make your attacks. I'm not sure. Wait, here we go. A turret attack. I finally found something useful. It's got a point defense plus 8. Or no, wait, that's the type of weapon it does. It's a point defense weapon, because you have to pick what kind of weapon you want it to be, and then the modifier. Yes, and then this is a missile launcher just like on a starship. Okay, so it probably uses either your piloting check or maybe your engineering check. I forget what they use in starships. It's piloting or something else. Maybe it's computers? I don't recall. But that's probably what you do in the vehicle as well. Okay, so there's nothing else that I really have to do. It's just a burst cannon, and because burst cannons are small, they do D4. So how many D4s? Plus 3 dice. So that's a burst cannon, 3d4. And then I guess it only gets 3 shots? I guess. I'm not sure. Oh, and then of course it does have a collision. Because you are allowed to ram literally anything. So the attack. This stat is created by the tier of the vehicle. The DC to ram with a vehicle is 10 plus the tier of the vehicle. So, I mean, it's a level 1 vehicle we're making. So it's going to be collision DC 11. The attack DC is the size of the... Wait, did they just repeat that twice? Hold on. The DC to ram with the vehicle is 10 plus the tier of the vehicle, okay? They deal damage in D6s plus the size. Wait, plus size. Here we go. Tiny, small, medium, large, and huge. Okay, there are tiny and small. Okay. I need to make a note here. Move all this down. Modifications. Tiny equals 1. Small equals 2. Medium equals 3. Large equals 4. Huge equals 5. Okay? Now that I've got that up there, we can just reference this and say how many modifications does my vehicle get? Since this is a large bike, it is going to get 4 modifications. Which means that we've got hover and a small weapon mount for the burst cannon. And we've still got room for 2 more. It also means that the collision, they deal D6 damage plus size. So... does that mean that this thing is going to do, since it's a large vehicle, 4d6 plus 4? Example build. Okay, let's take a look. The attack is calculated as a level 10 medium vehicle of a size 2 plus 1 dice, giving it a collision of 3d6. And a DC of 20 to attack. Because it is a tier 10, it's 10 plus, the tier of the vehicle. So DC 20. Its base attack is calculated as a base 10 and a size 10, giving it the DC of 20. Giving us the final stat line here. Okay, so it is the tier of the vehicle plus 1. Meaning that when we look at the attack, and where was that? There it is. Medium is a 3d6, plus 1 means that this thing will do 4d6 damage. There. Alright, and JP says city mass transit vehicle, then Mad Max it. I mean... if that's what y'all want to do. Like, if we get good enough at this, we could do a Mad Max campaign. We wouldn't even really have to change anything. If we want to do a Mad Max campaign, here's what we have to do. Number 1, we don't have to really add anything. What we need to do is remove a whole lot, because Mad Max doesn't have any kind of energy weapons. And even technology in Mad Max is not really all that prevalent. Now, mind you, I haven't seen the Mad Max movies, really. I saw some of the last one to come out. And that's about it, but I don't recall seeing computers. They didn't have lasers or anything like that, as far as I know. Everything is projectiles, so, regular guns, or axes, or spikes, or things like that. So you just remove all the technology, remove all the laser weapon, all the energy weapons, really. And then you would have to add in a fuel system, because Mad Max is all about fuel. It's all about who's got the fuel, how do you get the fuel, things like that. And once you've established that, just drop it all in a post-apocalyptic wasteland desert, and you've got Mad Max. Now, would that be cool? I don't know. Seems like it could be cool. We could do that in the future. Just not right now. All right. So here is our piranha, and I think our piranha is just about done. The only thing that we really have to do now let's see. The base cost per level of this thing is going to be 1,000. Now the hover adds to the percentage of it. We need a weapon mount. And then a vehicle weapon? I thought the vehicle weapon came with it. So this allows a standard weapon to be mounted. Okay, we don't need that then. We don't need a weapon mount. We just need the small vehicle weapon. So that means that we need Vehicle weapons small. That's going to be 450 or 4,500 credits per weapon. So that'll put us up to 5,500. It also says we need to select an arc. Forward. Oh, and now that we know that technically a large vehicle is 4, we technically get 1 extra shot with this thing. So we'll adjust that. Let's see. When selecting the vehicle weapon, a specific arc must be selected. We did that. Once selected, it cannot be altered during combat without purchase of a turret. See vehicle weapon options. They have a maximum range of 1,000 per size of the vehicle. But that's not its optimal range, that's just its maximum range. Medium vehicle weapons can be mounted on small vehicles for the cost of 2 add-on slots. A vehicle may only mount as many weapons as add-on slots allow. Okay, so I think we're good there. So we got the oversized, we've got the hover, we bought the weapon. And so now, all we gotta do is take this 5,500, multiply that by 165%. Yeah, that's about right. Multiply it by 165%. And that comes out to 9,075 credits. Not the most expensive thing we've ever seen, but still pretty expensive. And does that track with the bike that we saw? So here we go, an electric motorcycle costs 1,000 credits. Medium bike, sample vehicles, here we go. A Yosoki battle ball, that costs 17,000. The modifiers, it's military, it's off-road. Actually, that's something that we didn't add. Military. Because military adds a lot of stuff, actually. And there's a lot of mentions of military in here. Here we go. Military. This comprehensive modification increases all the major functionality of vehicle's frame, increasing its speed, hardness, hit points, energy, and kinetic armor class, base speed, hardness, hit points. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So it increases, it mentioned EAC and KAC twice. Actually, I think that's looks like a comma, I'm not sure. I think it's supposed to be a period. So base speed, hardness, hit points, and armor are all increased by 25%. Okay, we can do that. So this is going to turn it into an actual military vehicle. So first off, base speed. We're already at 21. This will put us back up to 26. $63 times 1.25 put us up to 79. And 30 miles an hour will go up to 38 miles an hour. So we'll paste that in there. We can unbolt that. And okay, we got that done. All right, now we've got to increase the rest of it. However, I'm being pestered for something. Let me go handle something real quick. I will be right back. Okay, time in. Sometimes you just cannot avoid this stuff during the daytime. It's a downside to streaming during the daytime. Okay. Gonna put this back in here. Okay. So, back to looking at this thing. We are upgrading for militarization. We just got the speed increased. We also get to upgrade the hardness by 25%. 25% of 5 means the hardness is basically going to go up to 6. The hit points will go up by 25%. That's easier. That means that we're going to go up to 10 and roughly 7. And energy, or both the armors are also increased by 25%. So that means that energy is going to go up to technically 12.5, but rounds up to 13. And 13 is going to go up to 16. All right, that should do it. Now, how much does that cost us? Military costs a base percentage. So we're going to go up to 169%. So that's going to change our total price to times 1.69. $9,295. There we go. Alright, and I think that'll do it. Come down here, we'll add military. Now, is this perfect? Probably not. Again, the vehicles page is extremely just bad. But we're going to learn it. We're going to learn it, and we're going to make it work for us. However, I think this is a working vehicle. And so now that we got that one done, let's see if we can get another one done real fast, because we still have a little bit more time left today. So what was the next one? Nope, not there. Not there either. There it is. Okay, the next one was the Tetra. Let's see if we can get this done real fast. So let's go ahead and copy all of this down. And then maybe we can get to work. Alright, let's try to do this faster this time, because we spent a whole lot of time on the Piranha, and we got to get faster at these if we're going to get them all done. So we're going to back out of here, and we're going to come look at the Tetra. So the Tetra is a light anti-grav reconnaissance vehicle used by the Tau Empire, operated by a 2-man Pathfinder team. It is not a true combat vehicle, instead designed for long-range patrols and infiltration missions. And we can see a really nice picture of it right there. It is very small. Now, do we have... Oh, we have this Order Zenith classification. This is great. So the length is 4.8 meters, which is going to be about 13 feet. The width is only going to be about 9 feet, 10 feet or so. The height is only about 6 feet. So this is really falling into that category of an actual medium-sized bike. It does have twin-linked pulse rifles. Although I don't actually see them on the model, unless that's it right there. That could be it right there. It has no secondary armament. It's pretty much just a bike. So this should be super easy for us to do. So size. This thing is going to be a medium bike. Okay? It's going to be level 1. And the flat cost of this thing right out the gate is going to be 1,000. We know that because we did that above. Now, the speed. Here we go. So we can copy this stuff over again. So we will copy in the speed. The armor is going to be 10 and 13. Cover, of course, is going to be none. The HP, as we saw before, is going to be 7. It's broken at 5. The hardness is 5. The collision will be a DC of 11. And because this is only a medium, it's going to do 3d6 and then plus 1, so it'll be 46. This one actually I did wrong. So this is actually going to be a 4d6 damage. This one up here should actually be a 5d6 because it's a large vehicle. Okay, so attack. Now, interestingly, the attack on this thing says it's twin-linked pulse rifles. So, twin-linked. This weapon is effectively 2 weapons of the same type positioned next to each other firing in tandem, therefore increasing the chances that the selected target will be hit. The majority of twin-linked weapons are heavy weapons mounted on vehicles. Some of these include heavy bolters, autocannons, or las cannons. Since it is 2 pulse rifles, twin-linked, here's what I think we're going to have to do. Number 1. This thing is only medium, so it only gets 3 modifications, which means we may not be able to do that. Because in order to install 2 rifles, we would need to have 2 modifications. But we don't have that available to us. That's not available to us. We only have 3. So we're only going to be able to, according to these rules, put in 1. Unless I can find a way to give it an extra modification somehow. So, pulse rifle. And since pulse rifles are just plasma rifles, we'll be able to pull the damage right from the wiki. We just have to look it up. The piloting on this ship is a +0, and at full, it's a -1. Stop that. Okay. Okay, this has got to be fixed. Format cells. Everything in here gets formatted as text, okay? Just text. That's all we need. Alright, now, modifications. It's going to be military and hover. And it's going to need a weapon mount. So let's start adding this stuff up. First off, I remember from above that hover adds an automatic 140% to the cost. And military adds another 4%, if I remember right. Go back down. Military. Yes. So hover is a 1.4. Yeah, base percentage is 140%. Oh, wait, no, wait. Military is 4 to hover is 1.4. That's not a 4% increase. That's a 400% increase. Oh, I did that severely wrong. This should not be 169%. This should be a 565%, which means that is wildly wrong. Okay, so military is going to be a 400% increase. Hover is then going to be a 25% increase. Hover is 140. So that's going to be 540% increase. That's a lot. Okay. And then we have to get into the actual weapon mount. And that is down here. Weapon mount is going to be 250 credits. So that's simple. We just add 250 to this. And then, of course, you will have to supply the weapon for it, but the weapon can be purchased separately. This is just the mount for the bike. And so we're going to do these both at the same time. First off, we'll start with the Tetra, which you can't even see right now because I haven't scrolled down too far. There we go. There's the Tetra. So the Tetra is going to be a base price of 1250 times 540%. And that is going to make this thing cost 6,750 credits. Which seems fair. There's not much to it. Now, the Piranha Skimmer, on the other hand, that is a flat cost of 5,550 times 5.65, making the Piranha Skimmer cost 31,075 credits. That seems a little bit more like what I was expecting. That is a very expensive vehicle. However, that is a very experienced war vehicle. The Tetra is not necessarily a war vehicle, it's just a militarized bike for essentially covert insertions. So that is more what I was expecting. That makes sense. I like it. I feel good about it. This works. Now, how about the next one? What was the next one on there? Because there was only like 3. Yeah, the next is a hover barge. Can we get the hover barge done? Okay, hover barge. So we'll move this up here. Alright, it's going to be a level 1 vehicle. We'll be able to upgrade levels as we go. But for the time being, it's going to be a level 1 vehicle. Now, let's see what data we can get on the hover barge. So the hover barge, type of aquatic vessel, yes, we know that. Right. So here's the thing about this. And here's how we're going to have to really work this. It is a long, open-topped vessel. Hover barges are not true boats. They are instead held slightly above the surface by suspensors, so it's a hover. We know that much. Let's see. On single-deck version, rows of bench seating can be installed sufficient for holding 5 individuals facing forward or back. So it's going to be 5 squares across at minimum, which lets the barge transport upwards of 60 people at a time. So, in terms of just the people it is carrying, 60 people, 5 across, which means that it's got to be 12, the passenger compartment has to be 12 long. Now, 12 times 5 is 60, so the passenger compartment is at least 60 feet long by 25 feet across. Which means that when we look at these, and when we look at vehicles, we might actually want to look at that city mass transit. And what was that classified as? That was a large wheeled vehicle. Alright, so medium vehicles, or wheeled vehicles. Oh wait, this is the example they gave. Here we go, medium wheeled vehicles. So this medium wheeled vehicle template holds 4 medium passengers standard and has dedicated cargo space for personal items. Okay, not bad. But we're going to have to make it different. Oh, and also one thing I forgot to put up here. Passengers. I forgot to copy passengers down. Actually, this is the same. I'll just copy this and put it down here. There we go. Okay, hover barge. Automatically it carries 4, I know that much. Size is medium. It is a medium wheeled vehicle. The dimensions on it, it does not actually say what the dimensions are on it. This, however, it does say is 10 feet wide, 10 feet long, and 6 feet high. There's a large one down here, though. That's probably better for us. And then we get into flying vehicles. So we're probably going to want to use the large wheeled vehicle for this. and then we'll be able to make our modifications. So we'll do large wheeled vehicle. Now the speed on this is going to be this. And we're just going to copy the format down there. The dimensions it does not give. So I have to go by the example they have down here. A starport tarmac cargo hauler. This says 20 feet wide by 80 feet long by 24 feet high. Well, that's not going to work for our vehicle, because we know that our vehicle at a minimum has to be 60 feet long and 25 feet across. So we're have to get a bit creative here. We got to get creative. Knowing that it's got to be that big, and knowing about the mass transit, where was that even? Like, why is that not under these? Sample vehicles, large track or large wheeled vehicle. Why is that not down here? City mass transit. Oh, because this is just down under sample videos in general, or sample vehicles in general. Gotcha. Okay, well, without a whole lot of information to go on, because they don't provide a whole lot of information, I have no baseline for how big a wheeled vehicle is supposed to be. They just do not share that information, so there's no baseline here at all. Like, this high-end luxury limo is a medium-wheeled vehicle at 5 feet wide, 10 feet long, and 4 feet high. And that sounds fine until you get into the military armored transporter, which is also a medium-wheeled vehicle at 10 feet wide, 10 feet long, and 6 feet high. It's literally twice as wide as the limo. What I think I may have to do is to simply assume that a medium vehicle, I think this might be a safe assumption. Is to just do this in cubes, okay? What if we do this in cubes? So, let's say that a medium is going to be 10 by 10 by 10, okay? At a maximum size. That means that a large will be 15 by 15 by 15 max. And huge, or no, wait, that'll be minimum. Okay, that'll be minimum sizes, not maximum sizes. Huge is going to be 20 by 20 by 20. Okay? That also means that a small vehicle minimum size will be, let's see, small will be 5 by 5 by 5, which should be like your actual motorcycle. I mean, how long is an actual motorcycle? Like, why don't I just pull up Google here and say, how long is a Harley Davidson. The length of a Harley Davidson is about 8 feet long. Okay. So that would put a Harley Davidson on the large side of these small vehicles, but since it doesn't meet the minimum for medium, I would still call it a small motorcycle. And tiny will be less than 5 by 5 by 5. So, minimum sizes. Now, that being said, we now have to make these vehicles appropriately. So, I am roughly out of time for this one. But before we leave here, I want to at least get this hoverbar sorted out as to what we're going to do with it, because it's weird. Where is that that airliner? Let's see. Where was the plane? Okay, a large passenger jumbo plane. Now this is calling it a large flying vehicle. Why is it calling it a large flying vehicle when it is 600 feet long and 750 feet wide? See, this doesn't make sense. Unless they're not really counting the wings in all of that. Or unless flying vehicles are done differently. Here's a medium flying vehicle. These vehicles are 30 feet wide, 12 feet long, and 8 feet tall. Wings, rotor blades, thruster radius, etc., etc. Smaller vehicles such as ultralights and gyrocopters use micronized frame modifications. Let's see, these vehicles require 20 times their length for minimum takeoff distance without the aid of VTOL or similar systems. Okay, so flying vehicles are literally built different, which is why the jumbo jet only qualifies as a large. Except even that's not true. This is a medium flying vehicle. These vehicles are 30 feet wide, 12 feet long, and 8 feet tall. The jumbo jet was literally 600 feet long. And still only considered large. Okay, but then we get to large flying vehicles. Okay, these vehicles are 40 feet long, or 40 feet wide, 50 feet long, and 12 feet tall. And again, this is still nowhere near the 600 feet long that the passenger jet was. So, sample vehicles, a large propeller plane, research blimp, small passenger cargo jet, large hover construction platform. Yeah, I mean, that plane does not even seem to follow their own rules here. It really doesn't. So, we may have to invent our own rules for this, because it seems like even the even the vehicle rules cannot follow their own rules. I do not understand what they've done here. It literally makes no sense to me. So I tell you what, we're going to go ahead, we're going to take a break. I'm going to spend some time trying to square this peg. Or round this peg. I don't know, either way, there's a peg here and it doesn't fit. So I'm going to work on trying to make this fit. And when we come back next time, we will get this hover barge done. And we'll get it done appropriately. We'll figure out exactly how to make this thing work. I don't know if it's going to be a wheeled vehicle or how we're going to accomplish this. We're going to have to figure out how to make something that is 60, well, actually probably more like 70 or 80 feet long. And still make it somewhat reasonable, because as far as I know, it's just a hover barge. Although it does say here that without the bench seats, an upper deck can be fitted, intended for non-combat duties. The barges are unarmored, but some models can be equipped with a railgun emplacement. So, without the railgun, it's just an unarmored troop transport. Which means it's technically not even a military vehicle. It's used by the military, but it's not going to get the military treatment. We just have to figure out what kind of frame this thing fits. And then we can figure out the rest. So that's going to be the true challenge for next time. And then afterwards, maybe we'll get to work on the tanks. Because I kind of want to get all of these vehicles done before we get into the battle suits. So that's what we're going to do. We'll figure out the hover barge, then we'll go into tanks, then we'll do the flyers, then we'll do battle suits. And now that we got a nice refresher on this, it should go a lot faster. I mean, look at how fast we got the Tetra done. Super simple once you can get it figured out. It's just figuring it out is the hard part. So, if you want to be here for that next time, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon, that way you get notified. If you know somebody else who's also into tabletop games, or Warhammer 40k, or even better, if you know somebody who actually understands this system, or maybe you know somebody who actually helped write this page, share this with them so that they can get over here and help me understand it. This is one of the worst written things I think I've ever seen. It needs so much work. Otherwise, though, if you enjoy being here with me, then leave a like on the video, leave comments down below. If you would like to play with us, however, if you would like to join the games and actually play Pathfinder, Starfinder, whatever it happens to be at the time, join the Discord. Join the Discord and you can join us in the games. I am still trying to collect people. So, please, for me, do that. Join the Discord, come play with us. Otherwise, that's it for today. I look forward to seeing you next week. And until then, take care.